Good morning, everyone. Good to see you. So welcome to those who are new. This is Tea and Tarot, where I go to the Oracle cards every 2 weeks to bring messages forward as to what's happening in our lives and in the world. And it's not a personal one-on-one reading. I do offer those. You can always book through the link in my bio. This is more of a general reading, but if you have some personal questions or things you're struggling with, just kind of put those questions out to the universe during this session, because very often people send me messages after saying that I answered their question or they got more clarity. So there is something to be said for doing that. So definitely do that if you're struggling with something in your life right now that you want clarity or answers about. I have many cards that I go to. So as always as well, leave in the comments if there's a favorite deck that you want to hear from, and I'll make a point of bringing it forward. A lot of the decks I do sell in my shop, and some of them I'm out of stock on right now, but a lot of them I do sell in my shop. So if you see a deck that you love, you can also click the link in my bio to go to my shop. We are in the full moon Aries energy right now. It's Libra season, which is all about peace and tranquility and balance. But then we've got this Aries full moon, which brings the fire. And if there's anything that you've been hesitating on changing or kind of getting going, like maybe there's things in your life where you just haven't felt motivated or you just haven't had the energy to let that stuff go or start something new, now is the time. Really make the most of this energy for the next few days. Maybe have a fire. You know, I know where we are right now, it's raining a lot, it's hard to have a fire, but maybe have a fire and just burn some of that stuff. Like make a list of things you no longer need, throw it in the fire, and just let it go. It's a really wonderful time to work on letting go and creating the space to manifest some new things. All right, so to jump off, I feel drawn to the Sacred Traveler Oracle deck. This is a deck by Denise Lynn. Also on Wednesdays on my Instagram, I try to pick a different Oracle deck every Wednesday and do a 3-card spread where you can choose a card and get a message. And that's just to let you see inside some of these decks. While I was teaching Reiki on the weekend, I was mentioning to my class, it's so nice now that you can just Google decks and see the pictures. Back in the olden days, we had to like go buy a deck at Chapters or Indigo and only look at the cover and just hope that the inside of the deck, that it was going to be a good one. So things have changed quite a bit in the last 20 years, so it's really nice. Anyways, so this is a beautiful deck. It's a big deck as well, and I really love it. It's new to me, but I'm really enjoying it. I get a lot from it. And that's the thing with decks. There's so many of them, so that you can find one that you really resonate with and that you connect with. So it's not that there's one deck that's the best deck in the world that you all should have. It's more the deck that feels right for you. So I just pulled the Traveling Lightly card, which is really interesting because I was talking about letting things go in this Aries full moon energy. And it's funny because I like to travel a lot and I have a backpack, and sometimes when I travel I bring too many things. We've all done that before. And you know that when you have to haul them upstairs or everywhere else, you're like, oh, why did I pack so heavy? So this card is about traveling lightly, and it's to remind us that we don't need to bring everything with us. Not literally on a trip, although it might refer to that as well, but just in life, okay? When we have experiences in life, especially traumatic ones or emotional ones or ones that are really challenging, there's a tendency for us to carry forward the emotion from those experiences. Now, there's something to be said with carrying a bit of that forward so that we don't make the same mistakes, or so that we're more cautious the second time around, or that we bring that wisdom with us. But we are meant to bring the wisdom from the experience. So what you learned is what you bring forward with you. You don't have to drag forward all of the heavy emotions you experience, all of the trauma, all of the fear, all of the sadness. But we have a tendency to do that because we have emotional bodies and they like to just hang on to things. So if you're the type of person that finds like it's really hard for you to move forward or make change because you've got this backlog of stuff, then that's when you might want to have an energy work session with someone and help clear some of that, or work on that through meditation or yoga, or just, getting out in the forest. But Spirit is saying to us, it's time to travel lightly. So use the energy we're in right now. It's a wonderful clearing energy. We're also in the season of the harvest. It's getting to the end of that season, but this season of autumn and fall is all about the harvest. It's all about looking at what you experienced all throughout the summer. The things that you literally, like seeds that you planted in the spring, manifest in the summer. You have the experience of that. And then in the fall, it's assessment time. It's where you're really looking at things in your life and you're deciding, okay, is this worth taking forward into next year? Or do I need to leave this behind? So fall is a really beautiful time to heal and let things go. Like the energy in nature is supporting this. And so Spirit's saying to us, it's time to travel lightly. It's time to let some of that heavy stuff go. You don't have to carry it with you. So whether you've got the image of a backpack and you're hauling stuff in that, or maybe you feel like you're wearing coats, like millions of coats piled on your body that are making it hard for you to move forward and hard for you to, even just have the energy, like to feel the energy to move forward. Because sometimes when we feel burdened by all of the things we carry, it can make us feel exhausted and it can be really hard to get motivated to move forward. We might have the mental capacity to know we want to move forward. We might even have the passion that we want to move forward, but we might not have the energy because we might feel drained and burdened. And so Spirit's saying travel lightly. It's time to let go of all of that stuff. So we're being supported in this. So I encourage you for the next few days. And one of the my favorite ways of releasing things, if you're aware of what you're releasing, because sometimes you're not. Sometimes you just will let that stuff go, whatever it is, and you can smudge yourself or do some energy work or receive a treatment. But one of my favorite ways that I find is the most powerful is to make a list of everything I want to release. Stuff I'm done with. I'm just totally done with this. Make a big list. Sometimes it's pages, more than one page. And then I have a fire and I set the intention that it's a sacred fire. I might put some sage or incense in the fire. I ask Spirit to support the fire and then I burn it. And then I watch it go. And then you can also make a list of all the things you want to bring into your life and put that in the fire afterwards. And the smoke will send your thoughts and prayers to the Creator. And this is a beautiful thing to do with some friends as well. If you have some friends that are into this stuff, then gather with them and do a fire with them. It's very powerful when you all do it together. And if you don't have a fire pit, you can do this in a cooking pot out on your balcony. Don't burn your apartment down. I have a friend who uses a roasting pan, and we jokingly call it the sacred roasting pan. So there's lots of ways to do a burning ritual. And because we're in the full moon energy of Aries, fire is a great way to clear stuff right now. You can even use a visualization of bringing fire into your body to burn away some of this excess emotion or some of this stuff that's keeping you heavy. Okay, so Spirit's saying travel lightly. It's time to let this stuff go. And I'm guilty just like the rest of you for carrying extra things. And I know when I have a heaviness or I need to lighten up because my actual physical space starts to feel cluttered and I just start to feel like I'm ready to jump out of my skin. Like I just want to get rid of everything, because we do go through stages where we gather and where we sort of purge our belongings, but we do it energetically as well with our emotions and our other stuff. So just be aware of your, rhythm with that, because if you're in a purging mode, that's a great time to do a clearing in your body as well. So, all right, let's go to our next deck. Now, this deck is interesting. It doesn't always want to come out to play, but when I was grabbing the other cards, this deck was like, okay, I need to be there. And it's an older deck by Doreen Virtue. It's out of print right now. But sometimes, if you go to Value Village or like Salvation Army, you can find old Oracle decks there. I would smudge them and stuff, but still, you can find some great stuff in the used bookstores and in the thrift shops. So this is The Romance Angels by Doreen Virtue. So some of you out there are looking for love, or you've got questions about love or relationships. And Spirit's asking you to keep an open mind. So your soulmate might not be that typical person that you're drawn to. You might have a certain idea in your head of who you like and why you like that, and you're sort of have a filter and you filter everybody else out that doesn't line up with that. And Spirit's saying just keep an open mind, because you might be surprised by the person that you're meant to be with right now. It might be different than what you expect. And so just have an open mind to that, but also have an open mind to how you're going to meet them. And I know with COVID and all that, God, it's been a disaster. And there's a lot of online dating, even more than there has been in the past. And a lot of people have trouble with online dating. And honestly, it's a jungle out there. But before you put your profile out there, put some positive energy on it. Ask your guides and angels to help attract that person to you. And maybe if you have been online dating and you think, oh, that's how I'm going to meet my person, Spirit's saying keep an open mind. So maybe you bump into them at the grocery store or while you're walking your dog or doing something normal in your life and you encounter them. So just be open to being surprised because very specifically it's saying your soulmate might differ from what you expect. Okay, so just give somebody a chance if you normally wouldn't, and just like be more open and just watch for those miracles or those signs, because I feel like Spirit is going to be bringing those people to you and you don't want to miss them by thinking that your partner has to look a certain way, be a certain way, that you find them a certain way. All right, so just be open to those surprises. Okay, Native Spirit Oracle is jumping out. I'm a little sore today. Like I feel like I'm moving like a concrete because I hurt my shoulder the other day. I was doing fun, silly things. Thank goodness I have an osteo appointment later to sort me out. That's the problem with being in the body. Our parts get older and start to break down, and I just, look at my cat behind me, all crazy. He's funny. He's my cat. I just have to talk about my cat for a minute. He's crazy. He chases flies, the smallest flies in my house. Last night he hunted one for 2.5 hours. He finally caught it. But I've had to save and rescue bees out of my house so that my cat won't eat them. And it's really hard to rescue an angry bee that's been sort of tormented by your cat. Like it's ready to sting. And I'm trying to get it out of my house and talk to it and say, listen, just let me get you out of here. Anyway, Spirit of the Earth card is what I've pulled. And I know we were just talking about the fire element and fire energy, but Earth is really important, right? Always, but especially right now, because some of the energy fluctuations we've been having lately have been really beautiful. Those intuitives out there, or those sensitive to energy, you might be having really vibrant dreams. You might be having really clear intuition or clear insight. And you might have a day where you just feel like you're on fire and everything's lining up and everything's making sense, only to be followed by a day of complete fog where you feel like you're driving in fog and you're like, what happened to my intuition? But right now the energy is very high. And so you might be feeling really open, and it's really easy to connect to Spirit and those things. But sometimes we can get a little bit ungrounded when that happens. We can get too much up here and we're not grounded enough into the earth. You'll know you're not grounded if you're feeling exhausted, if you're having a hard time doing physical tasks or making things happen. You'll know you're ungrounded if you have a lot of great, vibrant, creative ideas, but you're having trouble putting them into action and making things manifest here. So to ground, my favorite, get outside, go for a walk in the woods, but also like doing anything physical, exercise, yoga, anything creative where you're making something. Even cleaning your house is very grounding, like doing stuff with your hands, whether it's making a meal, cleaning your home, hauling things, whatever it is. But that will help you ground, and it's really important for us to connect to the earth right now, because when we're grounded and connected to the earth, we can actually pull more intuitive energy into our body, into our consciousness, and it actually ramps your energy up. Sometimes people say to me, oh, Kerri, I don't want to ground because I'm up here with the angels and the celestial beings, and if I ground, I'm going to lose that connection. Like, no, by grounding, you actually create that connection is able to get larger, and you're able to pull more down to this level of reality here, which is the point, because we are living on the earth. If we were meant to go play and dance with the angels 24/7 and not do anything down here, we wouldn't be in a body, okay? So we are meant to bring that energy down and use it here and do stuff with it here. And for that, we need to be grounded. And the best way to get grounding is to connect to the earth. Okay? And lots of different ways to connect to the earth itself. You can do a ritual and thank Mother Earth. You can leave an offering outside. You can plant something in your garden. You can, when I say leave an offering in Peru, I love it because whenever we do ceremony in Peru, we first thank the spirits of the earth, of the sky, all around us. And the earth's Mother Earth there, they refer to as Pachamama. So before we even have a snack, we're like giving part of it to the earth and pouring some of the drink we're about to have on the earth and feeding the earth itself. So connecting to the spirit of the earth in that way is a really beautiful thing. And maybe just like choosing a plant or a tree or something to plant in your yard and really connecting to the earth and asking it like, what do you want here or what do you need here? By going to the earth or your land and asking it that question before doing anything to it is a really beautiful way to connect to the spirit of the earth and to ground at the same time. Okay, so try that. Have fun with that. See how that goes. Okay, let's go to the Universal Love deck. This deck always reminds me of Glastonbury, which is one of my favorite places. And I'm hopeful that we're moving in a direction where travel is going to be easier, safer. Everyone will feel more comfortable traveling. I usually take a group to England every other year and then to Peru every other year as well, alternating years, and I've put those trips on hold. I'm not sure about this coming year, not in the spring, but maybe in the fall we'll do a trip. But I'm also contemplating maybe going somewhere this winter and offering like one-on-one retreats with people who want to work with me to do some healing work or some intuitive mentoring, and it would be like a custom trip for you. So that might be coming in the new year. So keep an eye on that if that interests you. So we're going for the Universal Love deck, and it would be a warm location that we would be in, not cold. Just saying. Okay. So I pulled the Gateway card, and I love this card. And this card is a little bit what I was talking about earlier, how the frequency is really high right now, and the veil is thin. And what does that mean when people say the veil is thin? Is there like a shower curtain between us and spirit? I know that sounds a bit weird. It's not a curtain. It's almost like a membrane, so people refer to it as a veil. But what's happening right now is it's really easy for us to connect. So we live in a frequency. In a human body, we live in a specific frequency. And when we discard the body and go to the level of spirit, we no longer need this heavy, I call it a meat suit. People who know me know I joke around and call it a meat suit. So we go to a different space, a different frequency. So once you're out of your body, you can't just pop back here, be like, hey, how's it going? Like, that's why when we're having breakfast, our deceased loved ones don't show up and have conversations with us. They can't come from their frequency into our frequency. So how is it that mediumship works? How is it that channeling works? How do we connect to spirit? We meet in the middle. They lower their frequency down a bit and we raise ours up a bit. How do we raise ours up? Happens sometimes spontaneously. Happens when we're sleeping, when we meditate, sometimes when we're just exhausted. And energy work. So oftentimes, like I was teaching Reiki on the weekend, when people learn Reiki, their intuition starts to open up. Sometimes they start to become more aware of spirit. And that's like a side effect of working with energy. And so we meet in this middle part. And Spirit's saying right now, this is a really great time to try to connect. So if you are trying to connect to your guides and angels, loved ones who've crossed over and you've been struggling, the next few weeks, really work on it again. Give it another go. Try some guided meditations. Try raising your vibration in lots of different ways, because your chances of success are a lot greater than they have been, because that veil is thin. That energy is really close to us right now. Okay? So do whatever you need to do to raise your vibration up. Get it in a good space. And that might mean, going back to the first card I pulled for all of us, is to lighten our load. Get rid of that heavy stuff, and that will help you be able to raise your vibration up higher so that you can start working on this. It's great to read books and take courses and do all of those things. That can definitely help get you there. But once you're there, it's really all about just putting the time in. So I know a lot of you that join me, you're energy workers in your own right, and you offer wonderful courses and mentorship. I do as well. I have these practical intuition workshops, which are only 2 hours long, but they're just to get you to dive in and try practicing some of these things in a safe and easy way. So it doesn't have to be a 6-month course. You can sometimes read a book that inspires you or take a little workshop, but really trust your intuition and what you're drawn to with regards to this. And some of you might be like, Kerri, I don't want to talk to spirit. Are you crazy? Like, oh, not my thing. That's fine, but the energy's still really high right now for you to connect to your intuition in a deeper way. And our intuition is useful. It's trying to help us navigate life. It's like your GPS. It helps you when you get lost or when you feel like you're going in circles. And who couldn't benefit from having more of that? Okay? So that's happening right now. I feel like this energy is going to be on the high side for the next couple of weeks at least. So try to carve some time into your schedule for that intuitive work, for that connecting to spirit. Sounds good? Okay. All right. So I haven't pulled these cards in a while. These are by Alex Gray. It's the Angel Guide Oracle. And actually, these are the cards that will be featured this Wednesday. So that's tomorrow. Gosh, it's weird when you went with the whole COVID thing and working from home and having a different schedule. Sometimes I forget what day it is. It's probably not good. Anyway, tomorrow is Wednesday and I'll be featuring these cards. And they wanted to come out and play today too. So we'll go to them for our next card. Transformation. I love transformation. No one loves stagnation. Nobody ever wants to hear, oh, you feel like you're stuck in a big pile of poop right now? Well, great, you're going to stay there for 6 months. Nobody wants to hear that. Everybody wants to hear, you're going to get out of this cleaned up and on your merry way. And all of the cards I've been pulling today have been suggesting that. Like, we are moving forward. Those of you who've been struggling, trying to make change, maybe for years even, this is the time. Okay, Spirit is saying, get off your butt. Stop complaining. We're here. We've got you. We're like literally pushing you along. Help us out here. Make some change. Lighten your load. We're going for it. We're using this fire energy and we are going places. And this transformation card, it looks like a match on fire. I just love that. I just love the juicy orange color of the backside of the card as well. So it's time, guys. It's time. So if change or transformation scares you and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to change anything, then start with something small. Start with something small that you can handle, and then that will build momentum and get you going. And there are others of you out there that are like, let's just burn it all to the ground and just start new and fresh across the board. And that's the way you roll, and that's fine too. Or you might have a middle of the ground approach, but Spirit is really supporting us in our change and transformation right now. And also with our frequency being raised up, we're given the opportunity to connect to our intuition in a deeper way. So it's not that we're making this change and not having insight or clarity about it. We're getting strong feelings about it that we need to trust and go forward. And with your intuition, if you're not getting it directly, I'm sure you will encounter people in your life or signs coming from all around you, because Spirit will bring you the information either direct or through people around you, places around you, things that happen. Watch for the signs. As soon as you open yourself up and start watching for those signs, you'll notice them more. They're happening all the time. Okay, it's not that they all of a sudden start happening. It's this, you start listening. You start listening and noticing. They're always there, okay? So try that and see how that goes. Now, okay, there's a few decks that are like, pick me. And I'm like, I'm going to get to you. This one is the Spirit Animal Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. I love this deck. First of all, I'll be honest, I love this deck because it's a big deck. I'm like, if you're going to make a deck, give me some extra cards, because I'm all about the, and my students know this, but I'm all about the too much information rather than not enough information. So I feel like if you have too much, you don't have to take it all. But if you don't have enough, then, that's a problem. So that's what my preference is. I'd rather somebody gives me too much information that I can go through on my own and figure it out rather than have to be digging for stuff constantly. Okay, I pulled the Hummingbird Spirit, and I know I've pulled this card before, and this is really one of my favorite cards in the world, and I'll explain why. Hummingbird is that energy of pure joy. It's just like the butterfly in North American culture. The hummingbird, very much in South America, is all about joy and creativity, and it's linked to the heart chakra. Okay, it lives on the nectar of sweet flowers. It moves very, very quickly, and it seems like such a small, delicate, beautiful bird, but I have seen a hummingbird take on a hawk. Like, they don't put up with crap. So sometimes it might feel in life like we're being bullied or ganged up on, or we don't have enough energy to do what we want to do. But Hummingbird is saying you do. You just have to connect to your passion, that energy of joy, your why. Why are you doing that thing? You do need to understand why you're doing something before you do it, because if you don't, you won't have the energy to see it through. Because whenever we're creating anything big, we are going to encounter obstacles. We are going to encounter days where we are exhausted, and we need something to keep us going. And that's usually the reason why you're doing it in the first place. And Hummingbird is here to help you find that passion and help you discern what you want to do. It helps you bring the creative energy to do it, and it helps give you the strength and agility to do it as well. Because Hummingbird doesn't hesitate. If it has to move, it moves very quickly. But it can also be incredibly still as well. So, and it can go from stillness to busyness to stillness again. And so for some of us, like, I have a busy, active mind. I'm a fast talker. I do lots of things. But I can also shut it down and meditate really quickly. It's taken years for me to be able to do that. But that's very much a hummingbird ability. So Hummingbird is asking us to find our joy, find our passion, and not to hesitate in taking action on it, okay? But it's very much like the energy of summer, and I know we're in fall right now, but it's this beautiful creative energy, so definitely make the most of it. You can even ask to connect to the hummingbird energy if you're feeling stuck, or if you need ideas, or if you're stuck on how to get from A to B on something. Connect to Hummingbird and ask for help, and you'll find that help comes to you, whether it's in the form of thoughts or dreams, someone saying something to you, you happen upon a book or information online that helps you. But call on Hummingbird. So this is really exciting. I'm really kind of excited to see how some of you use that energy and to see what happens within the next couple of weeks. All right, so oh gosh, I'm talking a lot for each card this time. Usually I go through more cards and say less. I feel like I'm less cards, say more, but that's how it's going. So Sacred Destiny Oracle is the deck that wanted to go next. And this is another deck by Denise Lynn. She does the Sacred Traveler one as well. And I wasn't familiar with her until, I guess, the past 2 years. She's got some really beautiful decks. Okay. Pulled the Blessing card, and I know I've pulled this one before too, and it's funny that it's also a bird. And this is saying, because sometimes in life it can feel like things are going crappy and you're like, oh, I just can't handle it anymore. Being in a body on the earth can really super suck sometimes. I mean, honestly, it really, really can. But Spirit's saying, just hang in there, blessings are coming. And so this might come in the form of abundance for some of you. Maybe you've been struggling financially and you're like, gosh, like I really need money right now. And Spirit's saying, just hang in there, it's coming. This might be coming in the form of love and relationships. Maybe you've been feeling really isolated and alone and just disconnected from people. And Spirit's saying, just hang in there, the people are coming, the connections are coming. This might have to do with your health. Maybe you've been struggling with your health and just things haven't been going right. And Spirit's saying you're going to get insights and help and clarity around that. So you will be receiving blessings. And my feeling about this card is the blessings are going to come in the form of solutions to things you've been struggling with. So if you have been struggling and feeling hopeless and helpless about certain things, just hang in there. Over the next couple of weeks, you are going to start getting clarity around some of those things, okay? Brand new deck today. It's called the Divine Feminine Oracle. I actually had this in my collection and didn't realize I hadn't cracked it open until the Reiki class on the weekend. I'm like, oh, I've never been inside that deck before. So first time, haven't even played around with it before right now. So it's my first time going into this deck, and we'll see what we find. Okay, so it's called the Divine Feminine Oracle, and it's a lot of goddesses and female deities in this deck. And I have pulled Green Tara, and she is the Buddha of enlightened action, which is really interesting because that's what we've been talking about today, taking action, but also inspired and supported by spirit. And so that's the card that was just pulled. And so you can call on her to help. I feel like you can call on Green Tara and ask her to help support you. And this card is also asking us to really take action. Not like it says enlightened action, and we might not feel enlightened, but what it's really asking us to do is connect to that intuition or connect to that part of our soul before taking action. So maybe there's certain actions we feel we need to take. I would make a list of all of the things that you feel that you need to do that maybe you haven't been doing or that you feel you want to do. And maybe go through each of them one at a time and kind of take each choice or each decision into your heart and sit with it and see how it feels. Does it feel like you need to take that action? Do you get clarity or insight into how to take that action or things you need to do to support it? And just go through each one and see what unfolds, because I feel like Tara is going to help us get more information about the action or the choices we think we need to make. So you can call on her for extra help with that. And I feel like she will deliver that help. All right, rainy day here. I don't know why I always associate like rainy days with coffee and lattes and cozy pajamas and warm drinks, especially in the fall. But the Magdalene Oracle also makes me think of rain. And I think because this deck also reminds me of Glastonbury, and usually when I'm in England, it doesn't rain too much, although I know it does rain a lot when I'm not there. I'm usually pretty lucky and have a lot of sun, especially when I'm bringing trips there. But this card just for some reason makes me think of those rainy days and those slow kind of meditative days. Anyway, it's just a weird little thing. So I've pulled the acceptance card. And this is an important card. And this card actually, it's funny because today I feel like we are definitely having a theme today. And the acceptance card, acceptance is absolutely pivotal and important when you're letting stuff go. The reason we hang on to things or we have trouble letting things go in a healing session or in our lives is when we haven't fully accepted it. Now, when you accept something, it doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It doesn't mean you have to even love it. It doesn't mean you have to forgive it. It just means you have to accept it. Like you have to be like not in denial about it. You have to say to yourself, okay, this thing happened and it really super sucked, but it happened and I got through it, or I'm getting through it, and I can accept that it happened. I don't have to like it, but I can accept it. And once you have that level of acceptance, then you can start working towards the healing and integration of it and the letting go of it. So it's the first step in a multi-part process. You know, first acknowledging what happened and then accepting it. So Spirit is helping to support us in this. So if there have been some really big things or some big hurdles in your life that you've been trying to overcome, the key to that is accepting them. And in the acceptance, it's almost, it's like a very loving thing to do for yourself. For example, I'm trying to think of an example in my own life. This is a big juicy one for me. So I've gained what I feel like is huge amounts of weight over COVID, despite exercising and trying to eat healthy and everything. And a lot of it has been from stress and from holding the energy and a bunch of other stuff. But I haven't fully accepted it because I'm trying to change it and I've been not happy about it. And everything I'm trying isn't working. So it's incredibly frustrating. So I have to get to a point where I can accept and love my body as it is now instead of being angry with it for not doing what I want it to do. Okay, and that's big and it's a hard thing, and I'm still working on that right now. And to be honest, I really am. So, and there's other things too, and we all have them, but that's just an example of something, like to accept the situation and be like, okay, this is a situation. I've accepted it, but it doesn't mean you have to stay in it. Okay. And it can happen in relationships. Like, you know, I'm no longer married. I was married with my ex for over 20 years. And I had to get to the point of acceptance where I realized this relationship is not going to heal to the point where it can be sustainable for either of us, but especially for me. So I had to get to that point of acceptance where I had to realize the point forward for healing on my path was to exit the relationship. And, you know, that's a really big thing to come to terms with. And, you know, a lot of people were involved in that, including my children. And it almost felt self-centered in a way when I got to the point of making the choice, because I had to really think of myself in addition to everybody else, whereas before I was just thinking of everyone else first. So I had to get to the level of acceptance to realize, like, everything I've tried to heal and balance this, it's just not working. Okay, so sometimes acceptance can feel a bit like giving up on something, but you're not. You're just getting to that point where you're like getting really deeply honest with yourself. And once you hit that point, after that, all the support comes, all of the healing comes. Once you make that choice, or once you reach that level of acceptance, then all the people and things that you need to help support you to that next step appear. Okay? You can even have that happen in a business where you realize, you know what, this way that I'm working isn't working, and I need to make a change, whether you're self-employed or working for someone else. And once you get to that level of acceptance, then you can start taking action to create the change. So all of these cards that have come up today have been kind of this theme of letting go of that heavy stuff, and let's move forward into the future and the things that we need to do to help us get there. A large part of that is tuning into your intuition and allowing that to come through. We are in a time where the energy is quite high, and it's much easier to do that. So if you've been struggling with that in the past, definitely give it another go over the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot more success. So I'm going to go to our angel cards that I usually go to at the end to wrap this up and see what they say. I'm excited to see some of the changes that happen in your lives over the next couple weeks, because I do feel like there are going to be some really big shifts for everyone, which is nice, because I know with all of the things that have happened in the world over the last year and a half, it's felt a lot of times like we've been sort of stuck. Now we've got this like really strong movement energy. Okay, so the SilverWing card says peace and tranquility with trees and forests. And for those that know me, I'm always sort of preaching, get outside, get in the woods. And this is saying peace and tranquility can be found there. So if you are feeling stressed or anxious and you can't seem to calm yourself down, get outside. If you can't, if the weather is preventing you or anything else is, close your eyes and put yourself there. Like, see yourself there even though you're not there. You'll still have a similar experience. You'll still benefit from it. Okay, the gold wing. Seek health and wholeness. So taking action towards your health, taking those steps you need to take to improve that. And when I was talking earlier about the acceptance card and the things I'm struggling with, I'm doing that. I'm actually reaching out and widening my scope of where I'm going for answers or help with certain things, because I've tried everything I know how to do, and now I'm like, okay, I need to call in the professional people who can help me navigate this. And so it's okay to do that. And with your health and your wellness and your wholeness, Spirit's saying do what you need to do to get yourself in a good place. And the key is magenta, to open to unconditional love. So we're being asked to also connect to our heart chakras in that magenta color, that deep red pink color, which is your root chakra, which is grounding, and also your heart chakra, which is your passion, your desire, and helps propel you forward. So those two colors combined, those two chakras combined, are going to really help you take that leap. So that's good stuff, everyone. So thank you for coming. The replay will be available on Instagram, like literally like in the feed. If you hopped on later or missed a chunk of this, I also post the old ones on my website, circleoflightwellness.com. And I know they might not be relevant in terms of timing of when they were done, but they are, because a lot of the messages that come up, sometimes, even though they're from the past, they're also from the future. So you might listen to an old episode, just randomly pick one and be like, oh my God, that's what I needed to hear today. So definitely check them out. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your week, and hopefully in 2 weeks we will be in the trailer, the new trailer. It might be winter, I might have my hat on and the heater going, but we're going to be in it. I'm going to try to finish painting the inside and get it all together over the next couple of weeks. Thanks so much. Have fun. Enjoy, everyone. Take care.